Have you ever noticed that people tend to perform better when they have accountability? You see it happen all the time, whether it's a sports team or somebody who's really working on a goal. Maybe they're trying to lose weight. When people are held accountable for something, they'll typically get better performance. If you don't help people with that, sometimes they'll start slacking. Performance suffers. Now, as a business coach, I get to connect with business owners and help them with accountability. A lot of business owners don't have someone to hold them accountable. And what I find commonly, it's very common, is that the business owners themselves don't really have a great policy for holding their team accountable, which ends up letting some of their performance of their team slide. So in this video, I'm going to be sharing how to enforce positive accountability to empower your team. So take some notes and let's get rocking. Now, positive accountability is really making sure that you're not just holding someone accountable and forcing them to do something and trying to push people forward. You're inviting them and getting them excited to and pulling them forward by motivation and inspiring them to be their best selves. And before you want to enforce any sort of accountability, you want to make sure that you're being a living example yourself. It's not good to kind of go around saying, do what I say, not what I do. So if you want people to show up and keep their word, make sure that you're doing that first. No one will respect or follow a hypocrite. So we want to make sure that we're being the best example. So we got to work on ourselves first to be really good leaders. Next, we want to make sure that we're communicating how to perform duties and tasks clearly. This could be done using a standard operating procedure, an SOP. You may have heard that term before. And commonly, you'll find people just aren't doing their job right. Well, it may be because they don't know how to do it right. And so you want to make sure that they have the proper training and they know what to do and how to do it. Now, knowing how to do something is one thing, but then having clear performance expectations is another thing that you'd want to make sure. Because if people um, they know how to do the job, but maybe they're not doing it quick enough, or maybe they're not doing it up to the right quality, or maybe they have a bad attitude, then that's stuff that you'd want to make sure that was clearly communicated to them too. You can't expect to hold someone accountable for something you haven't clearly communicated. If they don't understand that, then that's on you. So it takes first doing that. So first we've got to do that. We got to make sure that we're living the example, we're communicating how we want things done and the expectations of how we want the performance to be. Once you have that, we can next move to um, really implementing that accountability. So enforcing positive accountability, number one, you want to track measures of performance. So this can be any number of things. It could be attendance. It can be, certain quality expectations. It could be performance expectations. You have to define what that is, but you want to track it, make it clear, because you a lot of times can start filtering your mind, and you'll remember the bad times. And you don't want to just say, "Hey, I'm just going to point out all the times that you messed up." You want to make sure that you're looking at what's reality is, and so you can show them, "Hey, this is what you're doing. Here's where you're doing great, and here's where you can improve." Next, went too far. Review performance with the team. Now, you may see performance reviews. You may have heard this before. A lot of small business owners aren't putting this into practice as much as they could. And with today's economy and people needing to retain workers, this is an important part. And positive accountability is not just, hey, let's look what you did and point out the mistakes, but it's rewarding the good behavior, really making sure that you're sharing where people can grow and then helping them do that. So you want to make sure that you schedule time to review performance with your team. They need to be seeing what you're seeing. You need to be eye to eye on that. You can even ask them how they feel they're performing. Now, I don't know about you, but I've had many performance reviews in the past when I was working for companies, and I can remember having the performance review, but I didn't remember any sort of follow through. Remember, here we had a conversation, but then what are we doing from here? So this is an important part. is the follow through, and we want to coach to elevate performance. When we can identify the areas that need improvement, we want to coach people to take new actions to achieve new results. And we got to have the follow through. It's nice to have a meeting and talk about something, but if you're not following through, if you're not creating and cultivating transformation, then you're not really making a big impact. So, positive accountability, we're trying to keep things on the positive side. We want to avoid overlooking, just closing our eyes and saying, "Oh, you didn't get that done. Oh, okay. Well, I guess you're busy." Some people sweep it under the rug and then wonder why the problems continues to happen. You've got to address things head on. And you don't want to get really negative and reprimand people for not meeting an expectation. You want to coach and help them elevate, right? So reprimanding is not the right approach. It may get short-term results if you put the fear into somebody that they may lose their job or have consequences, but it's not going to get them inspired and have them give their best effort. So we want to make sure that we're being positive and helping coach them to elevate. So you're creating a win-win for both parties. It's got to be purposefully done. Okay, so I'm not saying, just to be clear, I'm not saying that you wouldn't want to have consequences if someone's really misbehaving. But what I am saying is that you would not want to reprimand somebody if they're just not quite achieving their performance. And if you hired a bad apple, you got to take ownership for that. And maybe they're not the right person. By the way, we're looking to grow our YouTube channel. So it'd be great if you want to subscribe. We're on YouTube as Growth Amplifiers. If you're seeing this on YouTube, you can just go ahead and hit the like and subscribe button. That'd be great. And it'd be great if you could share this too. I'm looking to amplify businesses around the world, providing them with inspiration and actionable insights so they can better their business and better serve their mission, having a positive impact overall. All right, let's get back at it and wrap this one up. So the last thing we'll go with are two great questions to ask when you're doing these performance reviews is how can the business better support you? How can the business better support you in your performance? So sometimes you may find out things that you didn't realize were holding someone back. Maybe there is a lack of clarity. Oh, I didn't realize I really don't know what I need to do. Maybe they need training. Maybe they need a little support or some time to actually work on a project or process to get the intended result. And maybe they're not getting the time they need in order to perform. And by asking, you'll get that information, which is very valuable. Then ask them how they can improve their progress. What can they do that would help them grow and perform better? And so you're taking it from both sides. How can the business help support them? And what can they do on their own that would help them? And as a coach, you can help share some ideas, but it's very valuable when you ask people for the solutions themselves, because then they're thinking in their mind what would work for them. And they're also taking some ownership of it. So this is really powerful when you ask these questions. And the most important part from here, if you can imagine, is to ensure that these ideas are implemented, right? It's great to, again, have these meetings, but you want to make sure that these ideas are implemented. If you just talk about them and then don't work to improve the business, what they've asked for the support, or you're not tracking to making sure that they're taking the actions they need in order to improve on their part, then you can have a great conversation but not go anywhere. So ask the questions, get clarity, and then make sure that they're being implemented. Hold them accountable. Hold yourself accountable for fixing and changing the business to help them achieve their goals. Hold them accountable to make sure that they're doing what they said they're going to do. They're keeping their word. They're keeping their integrity. And they're taking the actions they need to perform better. When both sides are working together as a team, you could become unstoppable. So I'd like to hear your comments or suggestions of how you can help people elevate their performance with positive accountability. Always looking for great ideas to share with amplifiers around the country. So thank you for your support and look forward to seeing you on the next episode.